Hello and welcome to this episode of Autocar Professional Dialogue. We are here at the Automotive Research Association of India in office in Pune, and I have with me Dr. Reggie Mathai, Director ARAI. Dr. Mathai, thanks for sparing your time and talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you, Autocar Professional, for reaching out to us. It will be a good time. I think let us see how well we can take forward what we are planning and all to communicate to the people around us.
Great. To start off with, Dr. Mathai, ever since you took over your current role, what are the 2 or 3 key focus areas that are occupying your mind space more? Could you tell us?
Yeah, ARA has been in the forefront, as everybody knows, about regulation and certification. This is a well-known fact to people as such. But what has been done in the background a lot is we have garnered a lot of knowledge out of it, means how this evaluation takes place and what are the nuances of it. So coming over and taking over, the first thing I was wanting is to understand the industry need, how the industry is progressing. So we had a lot of interaction with the industry, and it's a continued process for us, so that we can calibrate ourselves and we can equip ourselves in the right way. The second area that we have been focusing upon is on the research and development front, because we believe that innovation can only be the differential, and that aspect need to be built in. Means we need to have a real allocation for that research and development. So we have allocated now some clear-cut funds for that. Certain areas have been identified. Each departments have been told to think about research projects also, along with their testing and evaluation aspects. And new facilities we are thinking on, particularly on the upcoming areas, not only what just meets our regulations, but beyond that for developmental activities. So these are the few areas that we are currently looking into. And especially we believe that if we can collaborate with players who have similar thoughts and plans, which many of them have. I have been very happy with the industry in that front. When we interact, they are really coming forth with so many ideas and how they can associate with us. So I believe that is again an area that we are really going to take lead on.
And new centers, new areas, could you throw some more light on what kind of, are they to do with, let's say, the technology areas or AI, or what could they be?
Yeah, the new areas upcoming, particularly as we know that the EV is an emerging field. So any evaluation related to that, we are already in place. But any advanced evaluations into that with more thrust on it, that is one area. I will not go into the details, but that is one area we are looking into. The other is, as you rightly mentioned, on the connected vehicles and the ADAS related area. We are thinking of putting up tracks for that. So there is a land we have already acquired. We are planning for it. Then there is something on like the areas on the battery management system, indigenization of the thermal management. So these are areas again we are very focused on. Autonomous driving, it may look very big for us as of now, but I'm glad that there are institutes, particularly currently now institutes, who have asked us to do the complete hardware thing. Okay, whatever hardware modifications, and they will make their own software. We also have our own software. So this is another area we believe that we can provide a lot of support and solutions, and we are working on. Charging station anyway, ARI has been in the lead. We have been making charging station complete know-how of it. These licenses have been sold to various people. They are putting up now the proto and the final product which we are approving. So that indigenization efforts are also going up in a big way.
Okay. So the charging station and one which was designed by ARAI, so is it ready for commercialization?
Yeah, one manufacturer has now got it approved. So that is a basic one. There are other versions to come up. So in the due course of time, I think we will be putting it, we will be making a real launch of it together. I think that will be coming up.
Electric mobility is a growing trend. While we talk about that, I want to touch upon the fuel technology, because you come from fuel industry, oil industry background, and for viewers who may not be aware, Dr. Mathai has had a very long stint at IOCL of close to 30 years there.
Yeah, 28 years.
28
Right.
years.
Mm.
So now the hydrogen has been a discussion point in automotive forums for quite some time, but it's making its reappearance in a slightly more serious note, if you like. So do you think hydrogen is perhaps has a better chance of adoption in the automotive industry now?
I think you have rightly mentioned about it, because recently Prime Minister's address on that 15th August put it into focus, in a very real focus, when he mentioned about it, that in future we are very focused about this hydrogen roadmap and all. The journey started way back. If you look into it, maybe around 2005-06 and all, when the National Hydrogen Board was put into place, a corpus fund was made where the oil companies, along with OIDB, the Oil Industry Directorate Board, put together 100 crores of rupees for it, for research and development. Serious efforts were made at that time, but initially on seeing whether it can be utilized as a blend of a fuel. So the initial efforts were made into CNG at that time. Certain companies, organizations, they did the neat hydrogen also, particularly on three-wheelers and all. They had made that impact. And then a lull period came in. Recently, around 2-3 years back, again, because the main issue was handling neat hydrogen, the competency, the technology, the hardware needed was again a challenge. So at that time, when I was working with my previous firm, they developed a in situ conversion of CNG to HCNG. So there was no separate handling of hydrogen needed. So you can send in CNG, you can get out HCNG with 18%. So these studies with SIAM was already done, and 18% HCNG was a fuel notified and cleared. So a trial was done by them, and that trial results are on the final stages as far as I know, because when I moved out, that was what was happening. It had quite positive results in that. And recently I was hearing Mr. Gadkari in his speech with SIAM, he was mentioning about that. This HCNG can be a good fuel in the future. So we need to look into that. There is clearly a reduction in the pollution that has been noticed in it, the trials and the tests. Some of the tests at ARI we have done with HCNG, and certified that the evaluation results were provided to IOC at that point of time. So I think we look forward for that. It will be a good change and a good step towards, although we don't handle hydrogen directly in that, but it will be a good step towards moving towards hydrogen.
And so in this, the other very increasingly frequently discussed theme is carbon neutrality. As the industry progresses towards that, so do you think the industry can take a multi-pronged approach towards clean mobility, towards carbon neutrality, and need not be only electric vehicles or battery electric vehicles? It could be maybe a multi-pronged approach.
Yeah, because they have to coexist as of now, because there is not going to be one solution that is going to meet all. That is very clear. Because we have such a great infrastructure ecosystem in place, we can't wind it off on a one-day sort of a thing. So it has to be going to be in a phased manner. But at each step, the government is also very focused on the carbon neutrality. So that's why when they brought in the scrappage policy, the end-of-life vehicle policy and all, when they brought in, this was very much in their mind of it. And the policy, as and it matures, there will be more built into it, saying that what material should go in at the beginning of the vehicle itself, and so that the end-of-life vehicle, the carbon neutrality thing will also be taken into consideration. Coming to the fuel part, we need to address not only the fuel dispensing that is happening, or the fuel carbon intensity, which anyway government is very focused on bringing in CNG and all. The network is planned and how the CNG is going to come in. Along with that is the energy production itself. There is going to be a very serious focus on that.
For it to be the entire cycle to be green.
Exactly, the complete well to wheel or cradle to grave sort of a thing, to meet the complete requirement of net zero emission. And I think that will be the next step, that because once the ecosystem starts developing, you can always start addressing to the other end also. And there is a very focused approach on that also happening. There are various fronts, efforts are made, whether the existing coal can be used for some other source of fuel to be converted and all that. Various studies are happening. Let us hope and let us see that how it matures and takes good shape in the coming days.
So if you look at different buckets, the conventional fossil fuel, diesel, gasoline put together, electric, battery electric, hydrogen or HCNG, and maybe synthetic fuels also.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the kind of prospect do you see for each of these buckets?
Yeah, that's a real. I will say that it is not going to be an easy solution, easy roadmap for the vehicle manufacturer as of now. The struggle for gaining commercial viability in each of this can only on a phased manner or in a stepwise manner, because the ICE engines have existed for long. You have got almost all necessary ecosystem ready for it. It has grown in its efficiency over the years, and still, if it is made technology agnostic, people still believe that there is going to be some fight it can still give. So I was really happy to hear certain speakers speaking about that. Define the norms. What you want to define it. Let us then move ahead and see how we compete in the pricing and our availability and all. But the push that is coming, the government's view and the thought process is very clearly on to decarbonize the sector. The Honorable Minister, Mr. Gadkari, was very clear, outspoken in saying that please go away with the diesel thing, leave it aside, sort of a thing. Now, that thought process is to be brought in slowly and steadily, and we need to come up with adopt the new technologies that are coming in. So the EV bucket is looking as the most readily available sort of a thing. Coming together of corporates or the organizations is a need of the hour, because if you need the economics of scale, this is something that is needed, that there has to a synergy to be built in. Technology solutions are readily available. It's not that we are not ready with technology solutions. There are pockets where the technology solutions are available. The only thing is the stakeholders needs to come together. One thing the Ministry of Heavy Industries recently did was, apart from the PLI schemes and all that, they have given 6 of the company, agencies under them startup portals to be launched by them. Particularly for us and one of our counterparts, they have told us to put on automotive related areas. And this, we have now made certain problem statements, and now it is open for the next 1 month, these statements. So people can apply on that. So these are on areas like battery management system, flex fuel related things. So we want people who have ideas to come up. We will do the handholding.
Is it on your Technovus platform also?
It is on the Technovus platform. It is called the Uptake, and it has started now. It has opened for 15 days. It will for 1 month it is open, and we will really select few of them, do the handholding, and we want to see that it is taken forward. So these are stakeholders who can bring in value to the whole ecosystem. And once that ecosystem develops in a bigger way, other areas of skilling, that is also we are very focused on now. So recently I have gone to Telangana, we have got into an understanding with them to set up a EV center for them that ARI will operate.
Under the Telangana state government?
Under the Telangana state government. So they will provide the infrastructure for us, and we will set up the facilities, do the testing and all that for them. So it will not be a certification thing, but it will be a pre-evaluation and testing sort of a thing. That is the first phase we are looking into. So skilling is another area we are very focused on. We know that there will be a need for skilled person to take care of this growth. So I believe the electric vehicles growth is something we should catch up on and come together and be a part of that journey.
And this project which you have for the first time done with the state government, would you kind of extend it to others?
There are a few others coming up also, but I won't be. There are a few others telling us to, because they have the facilities, some of them have created the facilities, so they want us to set up at least some skilling centers, which we are very open. and we are looking into that very seriously, yes.
And talking about this progression or the journey towards net carbon zero, different fuel technologies, powertrain technologies, in this regard, policies become very crucial. Clearly defined, sustainable long-term policies. Something which is not very common, or at least the government, the industry keeps saying that, no, provide us that. Do you think there needs to be more consultation, more kind of brainstorming, no, and therefore improve on this part also in terms of laying down sustainable, clearly defined policies?
In certain cases, the government has been come out with these directions, like let's say that for the CAFE norms. It was meant, but the realities, ground realities as it change, the dynamics as it happen. So there are recalibrations needed, and I think the government really looks into it. The other areas is like the introduction of ethanol, saying that also the Honorable Prime Minister launched for the E20 program. So again, it was planned for 2030. We had been preponed into 2025. But there are clear benefits marked with it because it had gone through a deliberation internally a lot. The vehicle manufacturers, yes, there is a challenge for them. There are going to be adoption, calibration testing, along with the RDE coming in, is a challenge. So how best it can be overcome, again, I think the government is very open, and because I have been part of certain discussions, I have been seeing, government is saying that we are willing to discuss with you. So there is always that openness. But yes, indeed, if a long-term roadmap can be given, it is the best one. If we can say that, say hydrogen, when it can be coming and all that. That recalibration government themselves do in many times because they see the ecosystem is now mature or now ready. Vehicle manufacturers also sometimes believe that certain technologies they can bring in early, some of them. So there is always a little bit of dynamism in that, and I think it is a good one. It's a good one. So that should keep on happening. Otherwise, we keep on waiting for the regulations to come in and all that happening, and it becomes a very monotonous sort of. So some good players coming in, bringing in new ideas. The older players seeing it, they also have ideas, but they keep it ready. So I believe that's a very good thing happening for the industry. But only point is the industry needs to grow. Particularly in certain sectors, they need to come together.
Right.
That is where the both things have to happen. Otherwise, we will be depending on other agencies for again meeting our requirements from outside and all.
And after BS6, the next big thing in the emission roadmap would be the BS6 2.0 or the RD norms.
Exactly.
So all the parameters and everything are
yeah, the evaluation part is now almost ready. The only thing is now the stakeholders' deliberations are going on. Where do you put the pin, sort of a thing? The value.
In terms of the deadline.
Means where should we? What should be the value to be given, assigned to it? Now we have the data with us, so we have 1 or 2 meetings with the industry already. We have a European benchmark before us, where Europe is standing as of now, and so they have to now. We have to see what is the way we need to progress upon it. So I should say that the industry has been very coming to the forefront in that matter. The decisions are to be taken, and I think in the coming few months it should be taken, because if the deadlines are mentioned as per now, and if they have to gear up, because they may also have to do some adjustments, some of them, so it is better to take a decision as fast as possible.
And deadline as of now is April 2023.
Exactly.
Right.
So which is being deliberated, that whether we can align it with, there is a request from the industry that can we move it to that 25 when the launch, or 24 when the E20 launch is taking place, can we shift it to a year at least? That is what the industry
I think
demanded.
there's also a representation that the CAFE 2 norms, which are scheduled as of now to kick in from April 20, is also to be clubbed with RD.
Exactly. So that is also a request that industry has made.
Yeah.
So let us see how the decisions come forward. I think the interests of all and the ministry's decisions will always be in favor of everybody, I believe that.
Great. And talking about automotive industry, now we're not very in discussions, automotive and mobility industry are quite becoming interchangeable terms in many discussions, because mobility is becoming a different dimension now, and many OEMs are repositioning themselves as mobility solution providers. In such a scenario, is ARA also looking at developing more competence or kind of coming up with services or cells which will devise certain offerings or solutions, catering to the mobility industry, emerging mobility industry?
Diversifying needs to be done by all of us. We can't keep on thinking on this is how it has been done in the past, so we will continue doing that. We have been trying to provide that solutions across the sectors, not only for our the auto sector as such. So there is like the railways, we provide a certain solution to railways. There is a lot of queries coming in, particularly regarding the chassis and all those, the bogie, the whole thing support, how the load taking is taking place. There are other agencies also taking some supports from us. That is one part of it. Coming to this mobility part, as you mentioned, the EV has thrown in a lot of new areas and new players coming in, and they have seen some sort of ease of business in many things. They believe that now they don't have to go through a complex manufacturing process and all that. Some things are ready, you can build it and you can bring it together. That has got us also put into certain positions, because certain evaluations when we have seen they have not been so ready, means market ready, but they have got a solution they bring in, and we also are now very careful when we do such evaluations. But on the other front, as you mentioned on the mobility sector, particularly related to safety and all the ADAS areas, or the areas where a lot of software programming needs to be carried out, the artificial intelligence needs to come in.
A lot of data mining there.
Data mining is needed. So we have been capturing this on a regular basis now. Now how to implement it? So there are now certain groups we are working with, so that we can offer solutions or they can be a part of the solution. The ease of adaptations comes in. So you get a total comprehensive picture for quick transfer of adoption of technology to yourself. So that is one area we believe that can add a lot of value, what we have been doing.
Okay, so therefore you are setting up such department within ARA?
We have now one department called a technology group that really looks into new technologies and new areas that are coming in.
I see.
So like unmanned vehicle, these ADAS related areas. So we are also thinking of putting up certain tracks for that in the new course of time. Let us see how it evolves. So we are just interacting with the industry, understanding the need, because we don't want to put a facility and without much usage. That also should not happen, because it's a huge cost.
Yes,
Yeah,
of course.
it's a huge cost for us.
And talking about tests, good to see the India's testing infrastructure, automotive testing infrastructure kind of going.
Exactly,
improving.
it has been remarkable. The NATRIT project has been really at the right time. Government invested the huge amount into it. So today the industry is very self-sufficient in that they don't have to look here and there for it. And adapting regulations also, we have been quite in the forefront. Means whatever is needed, minimum we have always put into place as per the requirement.
And talking about mobility industry, I mean for the SIAT 2021, redefining mobility is a theme. So if I look at it from in the next 5 years or so, the mobility industry in India, do you see a kind of a significant change or a lot of action happening? What's the scenario you see in the mobility industry in, say, five years hence?
Yeah, you mentioned about SIAT, and I'm quite happy to say that we really have got a good response. Initially, we were thinking that being a virtual conference, we may find it difficult, but we are almost full with the papers, more than what we could handle.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So there's a huge number of papers we received, and now the whole structure is in place from 29 to 1st of October, 29 September to 1st October. It will be a complete virtual one. So there is an expo also along with it. So that's a good turn of event. So what we have been looking at in the coming days through all this is, when we say about the redefining mobility, the whole thing is the change that is happening, particularly on the EV side and all that, that is going to be maintained. Means we will have the growth going to take place in a big way over there. The other area, like the existing IC engines and all that, it is not going to be that they are going to go down in a very rapid.
They won't become obsolete.
They won't be. You won't see that obsolescence so fast, because the growth our ecosystem still is not ready to cater to that full need of the EVs as of now. So this is going to be there for at least easily for 10 years. We can say that our the existing IC engine vehicles will still have that pre-existent sort of predominant sort of a thing, while the EVs catch up on that. And then governments push how far the government has been increasing the FAME scheme for next 2 years and all that. So how long the government does the hand holding, this has to be seen. Many states are incentivizing, so this also have to be seen how long they will continue that incentivizing and that program. So it's a challenging times. Whoever gets on board faster is going to reap much greater benefits.
Right.
So that is where the real drive is happening. So people with a lot of agility, the smaller players, they can respond much faster, we have seen. Unknown names have cropped up and they have made big impact.
Yes,
They have
in
made
fact,
huge impact on it.
in this disruptive times, much of the disruption is created by names which we haven't heard before at least in the automotive circles, right?
Exactly. So this is going to be the new change, the new happenings that are. And now, as we look into the safety regime, particularly the ADAS and all those coming in, the adaptive driving assistant, all those things coming in. Although Indian ecosystem, the road conditions and these are totally different from what it is from Europe, but we will be adapting it. We will be making quick learning into that. And that is another area that we believe that is going to make.
Maybe with a lot of tweaked algorithms
Exactly.
specific to Indian market,
Specific.
Indian conditions. And all.
Exactly, because these are existing only thing how to adapt and how to make it. Non-infrastructure related ones, which are not very linked to the infrastructures, those may be coming much faster.
Yes.
And the players coming from outside, when they start showing it, so others will always find it that these are the areas we have to look into.
And it's like, for example, ADAS already is becoming a kind of a key value proposition in some of the new models that we have seen.
Up to 0 level, 1 level and all, they have got
Yeah.
some things they have already done in their vehicles and all that. So
I mean, at least one OEM is promising a L2 level very soon. So
that is true. These are interesting times, that's why I'm saying.
Indeed, interesting times, and so glad to have this interesting conversation with you, Dr. Mathai. Thank you for talking to us, and
Thank you.
wishing you and your team all the very best.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And thanks for watching this conversation. As mentioned, we were having this very insightful and interesting conversation with Dr. Reji Mathai, Director of Automotive Research Association of India. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care. Stay safe.